screen එක share කරන්න. Right. The lesson that is due to start the 7th one. ළමයි ඊට කලින් මට චුට්ටක් දැනගන්න ඕනේ school situation එක මොකද කියලා. දැනට කොහොමද ඉස්කෝලේ මොකක්ද යන පාඩම් ටික? ඒක චුට්ටක් අපි ක්ලියර් කරගෙන යමු. මොකද දැන් සමහර ඉස්කෝලවල වෙන වෙන lessons පටන් අරගෙන තිබුණොත් කෙනත් අපිට චුට්ටක් කන්සිඩර් කරන්න වෙනවා. Yes. දැන් අපි 1 to 6 වෙනකම් complete. 7th lesson එක තමයි අපි start කරන්න ඉන්නේ, like other than the 7th lesson. ඒ කියන්නේ 1 to 7 වෙනකම් කරලා තියෙන කට්ටිය ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. 1 to 7 නැතුව වෙන lesson එකක් continue කරලා කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. මට චුට්ටක් details දෙන්න ටක් ගාලා. Jinani, memory management unit means operating system. So no problem. Right? Yeah. Catalog naha. How about others? One to 7 වෙනකන් ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. 7 වලට එහා පැත්තේ lesson එකක් කරන කවුරු හරි ඉන්නවනම් seems not. Right? කට්ටිය පටන් අරගෙන නැහැ නේද? හරි. හොඳයි. No problem. හරි. Right. So system, now this is system analysis and designing. This is the lesson, the 7th one, the 7th unit. Right. So 7th unit is about what is a system and how we are going to develop a system. So what are the things that we need to consider about when we are developing a system, and what are the ways that we can develop. There are several models that they can get used when a system is being developed. So we are going to consider about those things as well. And we are going to talk about some different kind of systems, computer-based ones, on this lesson, right? So first of all, we are going to talk about the concept of the system, and the definition is given here as the very first point, right? So if in case if you got a question saying define a system, this is the thing that you have to write. A system is an orderly grouping of interrelated and independent components linked together according to a plan to achieve a specific objective, right? So you should give that idea, right? Even though if it is not exact meanings, මොකද මේකට meanings කීපයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? සරලම විදිහට කියන්න පුළුවන් a group of integrated and independent components works together to achieve a common goal කියලා. එහෙම අපිට simply specify කරන්න පුළුවන්, but this is much better, right? It will give you a broad idea about it, right? So I'll explain it, right? So just a second. Right. So when it comes to a system, let's see how this happens, right? So like basically, as the definition says, a system is a group of interrelated and independent components. Now, if you think about the environment, our environment, even about your body, the human body, it is a collection of systems, right? So every system has this component, has this 3 component called the inputs, the process, and the output. Now, if you take the respiratory system, right? So sana paddhati api aragathot, input is the air, process is the filtering the oxygen from that air, and the output will be oxygen to your blood, as well as the not using or like the rest of the air, which is carbon dioxide, nitrogen, all these things, again release into the environment. So input, there is a process and there is an output, right? So if you think about your school, it is a system, right? So at the grade 1 of the school, your parents are inputting a little one with very creative mind and less knowledge. And when you are like processing over the 13 years, you will gain the knowledge, you will gain the experiences, right? So the output will be a well competent a person, right? So still it has an input, it has a process, and it has an output, right? Even like අපි දැන් සිස්ටම් එක ගැන කතා කරනකොට නිතරම කතා කරන්න ගන්න උදාහරණයක් තමයි bicycle එක, right? The bicycle, right? So even the bicycle can be taken as a component, sorry, as a system. Then bicycle කියන එක මේ system definition එකත් එක්ක හරි ලස්සනට ගලප ගන්න පුළුවන්, right? So it says group of interrelated and interdependent components, right? So like now when you take the bicycle as a system, right? So you can see there are several different components there, right? So what are the components that we can see when it comes to a bicycle? So like yeah, hold on a minute. Yeah, so we can, there is a component called wheels, right? And there are components called pedals, right? And the cogwheel and the chain connecting the wheel and the pedals, right? And there is a frame, right, which connects all these things, right? And the front wheel is there, right? And we have the handle to balance the bike, and we have a seat to have the comfortness, right? So wheels, handles, seat, the frame, those are interrelated components, right? So these things are works together to achieve the common goal. The common goal is the traveling, right? Or like moving from one point to another point, right? So along they can't perform, or like they can't achieve the common goal, but together, working together, it can be like, it can be used to achieve the common goal, which is the transportation, right? So it is a group of components which are interrelated and interdependent. They work together to achieve the common goal, which is the transportation. And in the other form, like අපි ඒක input process output කියන format එකෙන් කතා කරොත්, so the input for this system will be the energy, නේද? Human energy, right? මානව ශක්තිය තමයි මේකට පාවිච්චි වෙන input එක, right? And that is processed with the components of the bicycle, and the output is moving from one point to another point, or like output will be the moving, right? So likewise, if you take a system, we can always see this input, process, output scenario inside that. And again, when it comes to the system, there is a boundary to a system. To every system, there is a boundary. Now, if you take your school, you can specifically see the boundary. Near the wall around your school is the boundary of the school system. So beyond the wall, nothing belongs with the school system. Inside the wall, it is the school system that you have. But beyond the wall, like beyond the boundaries, we say that is the environment of the system. System ekේ පරිසරය. Right? So the system may have interaction with the environment or may not. Right? It depends. කොහොමද system එක වැඩ කරන විදිය. Like if you take the blood circulation system in our body, it does not interacting with the environment. නේද? අපේ blood circulation system එක, it's not interacting with anything else. Like නේද? ඒක heart එකට blood අරගෙන එනවා, purify කරනවා, again circular කරනවා. Right? So the things are happening within the system. Right? But if you think about a school system, it is not it is something which deals with the environment. නේද? ළමයි එළියේ ඉඳලා එනවා, අම්මලා තාත්තලා එළියේ ඉඳලා interact වෙනවා, right? And this the education ministry, the police stations, right? And all these things are interacting with that system. So there are those kind of ones, right? So when it comes to a system, it has a boundary, and outside of that boundary, we call it the environment that the system is interacting with. So when we are going to classify the systems, we can classify the system into these categories. Like we can do different kind of classifications, like in the nature of interacting with the environment, we can classify a system as an open system and a closed system. Now, as I told you, a school is an open system because it's interact with its environment. And when we take the blood circulatory system, it's a closed system. It is not interacting with the environment. If you take a prison kind of a thing, it's not going to, it's going to be a closed system because it is not interacting with the outside. It's a special scenario, and limited interactions තියෙනවා කියලා දැන්. අපේ environment එකත් එක්ක අපි ගොඩක් interactions තියෙනවා නම් තමයි අපි open system එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ. Closed system එකක් කියලා කියනවා if it has no interactions with the environment or very minimal interactions are with the environment. So we call it a closed system. Right? And as well as it can be divided into like natural and artificial. And later you will find there are many other classifications as well. So here it defines the open system and the closed system, like we talk about, like when the interactions are there with the environment, we call it an open system. When it is not interacting with the environment, we call it a closed system, or like not interacting, or like having minimal interactions. Right? And it can be, the systems can be categorized into like man-made systems and the natural systems. Minisa visin nirmane karapu paddhati, right? Like the laws, right? And transportation systems, manufacturing systems, right? Those are man-made systems. And there are natural systems as well. Right? So when it comes to the natural, there are many things like the human body, the nature, right? So like you have heard some cycles around there, right? So all these things can be categorized into a natural system, right? As well as we can categorize those things like living system and physical systems or non-living systems, right? So living means like all the animals, humans, and all these things are involved in, plus the trees, right? So those are called living systems. And physical system, those are called the non-living systems, right? So like the systems that can be categorized as a physical system can also be categorized as one of the other system, like man-made systems, right? They were overlap වෙන්න පුළුවන්, right? So if you take a solar system, it is a physical system. There is nothing living in there, right? So those kind of categorizations, classifications can be happen with the systems. So generally, when we talk about the systems, and then we are going to talk about types of man-made system. Now here onwards, we specifically talk about what is made, or like what is created by the human with the help of the computer, right? So it's not a computerized system පැත්ත ගැන තමයි අපි කතා කරන්නේ, right? So here the first system that they have introduced is the information system, right? Now information system means a system that can give you information, that can output information. So නේද අපි මුල ඉඳලම දන්නවා information හැදෙන්නේ data meaningfully process කරා, right? So for this kind of systems, data will be the input and there will be several processes and you can have the information, right? So information system can be many types. There are different types of information system. Like if you take your school, you can have a student information system, right? If you take a company, they can have their own information system. So it is anyway delivering an information or outputting an information regarding particular data which is feeding into it. So when it comes to an information system, there's a critical part which we call a database, right? So the database is the one which holds, or like which have the data, or where it stores when the data is being input. So those data will be taken accordingly to process a particular information, right? So like the like this diagram illustrates to you, with an information system there are several different things that are being interacted, the procedures, people, data, and computers as well, obviously. And computers are related with subsystems like hardwares, softwares, firmwares, kind of things. Anyway, it's the motive of the information system is to provide a particular information or some analysis regarding the given data, right? So the next one, we are talking about the automated systems, right? So there are we talk about two types of automated system, which is the office automation system, OAS, and transaction processing system, which is called the TPS, right? So office automation system, by the name you can understand, so this system is there to automate things inside the office, right? So when it comes to an office, there are several type of things that can be automated using the computerized system, like publishing, like communicating, right? Those kind of things, right? So generally these things in most of the offices, these things are happening manually, right? When you need to publish something, you are going to create the documents and all these things with the interference of the human, right? And management type of things, still humans are intervening, right? But when you are having an OAS, you can automate several different tasks regarding an office, right? So you can plan it, you can like create a procedure to do the publishing tasks and all these things, right? So that will help the people inside the office to save the time as well as put that time on a different task that they need to concentrate much, right? So when the office automation system is established, the critical point will be the network of that OAS. So instead of like taking a document to the printer to get printouts through the network, any computer will be able to send the particular document to the network printer to have a printout, right? If it is not being networked, so it is not being automated, right? And when it comes to the typesetting and some image processing kind of things, right? These systems will help you to do the task in a quicker manner, right? Which will save the time for you, right? And if the network breaks down, it will be the problem, or it will be the single point of failure for these kind of systems, right? So OAS is there to make the office work more efficient and to increase the productivity, right? So that is the motive. Now, when it comes to a transaction processing system, it is again, we are talking about regarding a particular organization, and particularly we are going to talk about the transaction which can happen inside an organization. So when it comes to the transaction, the term transaction, it defines different kinds of things. Like there can be transactions which are general to every organization, and there can be transactions which are unique to particular organizations, right? So what is general is like recruiting a person, right? Paying a salary. Those kind of transactions are general, right? But when it comes to the specific things, there are specific things regarding some particular organizations. Like if you take a supermarket, they have different types of different types of transaction, like purchasing and maintaining a stock, selling the items, kind of things, right? If you take a air reservation system, or like air reservation company, or like ticketing organization, so it has different transactions which is unique to that organization, like booking, cancellations, right? And like generating the details regarding that, right? Those kind of things can be there, right? So TPS, transaction processing system, are there to cater both the categories, which are the common things as well as unique things, right? So, and again, now remember, when the transaction processing system is the one which involved with day-to-day things, so like most common things of an organization. Now, if you take supermarket as an example, transaction processing system is the one that you can see on the cashiers, right? So it records what are the transactions happens inside the supermarket. So like when we take the cart and we bill, so that is a transaction that they do, right? Later that particular detail will be can be communicated with some advanced systems, right? So there are two types of automated systems: office automation systems and the transaction processing systems. And then we are going to talk about management support systems, right? Before that, people just, I need the confirmation. Clear that මේ කතා කරන දේවල් ටික. මොකද ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගාව දැන් note එකක් නැහැ මේ moment එකේ ගොඩක් අය ගාව. Right? So should be clear. Right, great. Okay. So when it comes to the management support systems, So this clearly says it is going to support the management. Right? So there are three types of systems that we are talking about, which is MIS, Management Information Systems, Decision Supportive System, which are DSS, and the Executive Support System, which are ESS. Then, මේ system එක අපි මෙහෙම පොඩියට කතා කරාට these are huge systems, right? Now, my degree is on this particular system, like Management Information Systems, MIS, right? So, it is something that we can take as a main degree subject, right? ඒ තරමට broad කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් දෙයක් ඒක. Right? So, in nutshell, right, we can talk about this management information system. Now, this helps the lower level management regarding the problem solving and decision making. Then, මම ඔයගලට කියවනේ TPS එක තමයි උදව් වෙන්නේ කියලා transactions track කරගන්න. So once the transactions are being tracked, so regarding those transactions and the data which is gathered inside the TPS will be an input to MIS, Management Information Systems. TPS එකක record වෙන transactions වලට අනුව they can decide who has made these transactions regarding the organization side, right? Mono employee the transactions වලට involved වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, and how they are working, what are the commitments, right? Those kind of things can be assessed, right? So with that, those things can be taken into MIS when they are making the decisions regarding the employees, right? As well as it will be help of having, or like of making the solutions for problems. It is just helping, right? Not, it is not making the solutions. MIS කියන කෙනා උත්තරේ හදලා දෙන්නේ. It helps to solve a problem, right? So like previous, or like data which has been gathered, or like data which is been fed from a TPS, some of the data will be taken into consideration when solving a problem, right? So like specifically, like if we take an example, like if we are going to give a promotion to an employee, we have to track the things what that employee has done. So some of the things can be taken from a TPS, and we can analyze his involvement into this organization, how he has been committed to the organization, right? So that will give, or like that will help to have a solution, or help to have a decision regarding the promotion, right? And this has the ability to handle the queries as quickly as they have. මෙයා ගොඩක් complex කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. So like this can, the major part of this MIS is the database. So database will be able to handle the queries when it is given to it, right? දැන් අපිට අවශ්‍ය නම් month එකක් ඇතුළත කවුරු හරි employee කෙනෙක්ගේ performance බලන්න. So just by doing the correct query, MIS will give you the detailed report regarding that particular employee, right? So which will help on making the decisions regarding his or her promotions, right? And so remember, for a MIS, it is the database which is the critical part, right? So when it comes to the decision support system, which we abbreviate as DSS, this helps to the higher management, not the lower management. Now, lower management is what? So if you take a supermarket, the floor manager will be the lower management, and he will be involved with an MIS. And the directors and these people who are looking after the lower level management are named as the higher level management. Now, they have more responsibilities because they have to look after the lower level of the company. And regarding the lower level, or like the decisions that cannot be made in the lower level management are given to the higher level management to make, right? So on that case, when the higher level or like the higher management need to make the decisions, DSS can be taken as a help again, right? And this DSS has the ability to handle the unstructured or semi-structured decisions, right? So again, as I told you, this decision support system won't give you the decisions, the final decision. It's just support to make the decision, right? So maybe like as an example, if we are looking after the managers of a supermarket, so the managers ලා යටතේ තමයි employees ලා ඉන්නේ. So employees are being handled by the managers, lower level managers, and those managers are being handled by the higher management. So if the higher management need to focus on the managers, like whether that particular manager is performing in a good manner, what are the capabilities of people handling of him, right? And again, how his or her commitment to the organization to have a higher profit, right? So those kind of things can be taken into consideration with the help of decision support system, right? And decision support system produce customized reports, right? So the higher management has the ability to make the report as per their need, right? ඒගොල්ලන්ට අවශ්‍ය නම් like if the higher level management need the report regarding the Colombo region, so they can make a customized report with the help of DSS, right? So it will give a feedback or like a bird eye view or a good picture regarding a region, right? So it is something beyond the lower level management, right? And again, when the decisions or like the suggestions that is given by the decision support system should be very flexible, right? Now the lower level management does not have the authority of recruiting the people and the firing the people. The higher management has that powers or the abilities. So if some employee, if they need to take a decision regarding particular employee, like as an example, let's think there is an employee who is getting absent over a month in a very frequent manner. Now, if they need to consider what are the steps, what are the decisions that they have to take regarding this particular employee, they can review the history of this employee and and his surroundings and the work that he has done, and when they can see the history when he is being joined with the organization and how far he has been worked with the organization, and what is the performance of the previous month, and why it's like what are the reasons to be like what are the reasons likely to be that this particular person is been absent for this particular month, right? So those kind of things, the details can be given by the decision support system, and as well as decision support system can suggest some decisions regarding this particular employee, right? So higher management can take those suggestions into consideration and make the final decisions, right? එතකොට මේ decision support system එකකට අපි data feed කරාම මේ කියන incident එකට අදාළව decision support system is not giving the final result whether to be fired or keep that particular employee or not, right? So it will just give the suggestions. These are the performance, this is the way he has done, this is the highest performance, this is the lowest performance. Likewise, it will give a very good comparison upon the request of the higher management. So then regarding that report, they can take a good decision regarding that particular employee. So that is what we call decision support system. And the executive support system, the ESS, it is working as a reporting tool, which is for the executives, or like executive means like the the top level management, right? Like the CEOs and all these things, all these people. They just they are the people who is having the highest responsibility regarding an organization. So actually, lower level management is there. They use the MIS, Management Information System, and higher level like mid level management is there. They use the DSS, Decision Supportive System, and the top level is there. They use the ESS, Executive Support System. So like when it comes to the executives, they really don't need things in details. Like if you take a supermarket chain, the executives or like the top level management does not need the details like in a very in detail about the sales of each and every department or each and every outlet. They just need a summarized report. Region එකක් ගත්තොත් region එකේ total sales කොච්චරද? Island wide ගත්තොත් island wide total sales කොච්චරද? Last year sales කොච්චරද? මේ year එකේ කොච්චර sales වෙලා තියෙනවද? So based on those they can predict how many sales that they are going to plan for the next year. Right? So ESS should have the ability to give these summary reports in a very effective manner, right? That is why ESS being used. මොකද නැත්තම් ඕක executives ලට ඕක summary කර නේද? ඔක්කොම details ටික අරගෙන දේවල් ටික කරගන්න. First thing, they don't have time. Second thing, like it needs a lot of hard works. මොකද organization එක grow වෙන්න it gives you work. Right? So regarding ESS, they should have the summarized type of reports, and that summarized report, more importantly, that summarized report should give the idea to the executives to take their decisions. Right? ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ executive decisions වලට support කරන summarized report එකක් හදාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න. So we call it creating the big picture, or like the bird eye view, right? ඒගොල්ලන්ට total organization එකම සිද්ධ වෙන total scenario එක they need as a summarized report, right? So that is why the ESS is there, to help to create that kind of reports, right? So those are the types of management support systems, right? කළමනාකරණය සඳහා උදව් කරන systems තුනක්. And hereafter they have individual systems like GIS, which is a geographic information system. It's a separate system. So now GIS is something that gives you the information based on the geographic location. Now if you take Google Maps, it is one of the finest GIS that you can find, right? So when we move to the Google Maps and just type restaurants and search, so you can see what are the restaurants like around the place, so like regarding the location of yours, right? Restaurants ටික පෙන්නන, right? If you type like gas stations or petrol sheds, it just shows you the petrol sheds. So it is the information are given based on the geographical location, right? So it will be used in many different ways, right? So anyway, these informations are created in a map kind of a thing, right? So what they do is they like creating different kinds of maps, right? එක එක ජාතියේ maps වර්ග ඒගොල්ලෝ හදනවා for the same geographical locations, right? So restaurants ටික අවශ්‍ය නම් the restaurants ටික හදාගෙන යනවා එක map එක. These are restaurants. If they want petrol sheds, they create a map for petrol stations. If they need hospitals, they create a different place or different map regarding the hospitals. Later, these three things will be lay one over the other. Right? Right? So, එහෙම වුණාම ඔයාලට බලන්න මේ dots ටික ඔක්කොම එකක තමයි දකින්න හම්බෙන්නේ. Right? So when we are searching, what they are doing is, regarding our search query, they just select which map that they need to show and they just popped it up. Right? Right? So remember, geographical information system is regarding the information which is based on the geographic location. Right? And KMS, in the other words, knowledge management system, is actually a system which holds the experience, right, and the insights that a particular group of people or an organization had over the period, right? So what they are doing is like gathering the data of an experience will help them to solve a similar situation in the future, right? So what they are gathering is the knowledge, right? So regarding a company, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ production line එකේ කවුරුද ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ production line එකේ expected production වලට යන්න වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So they search for the reason and they take it as a knowledge. Because of this, we couldn't reach for this goal. So they store it. So if the similar scenario occurs in the future, they can see what happens on that particular day. So why it is not been success, and they can take the necessary steps to avoid the failure in the future. Right? So what they are doing is they are just collecting the knowledge into a system, and with the help of that, they will secure the future. Right? And content management systems. Now, this is something like related to the web, right? So like we can create or we can manage different kinds of contents regarding these content management systems. So it's a software where it gives us the ability to manage the textual data, movies, pictures, phone numbers, and all these things, right? So with the help of that management, we will be able to create different kinds of components. Then web create karnakoda, we need a CMS, right? We use a CMS to handle the contents of that web page. Advertisements කොතනින් දෙන්නේ, main headings ටික නැත්නම් main news ටික කොතනද තියෙන්නේ, ඊළඟට banners මොන පැති වලට වැටෙන්න ඕන, right? කොතනද focus වෙන්න ඕන. So those kind of things can be done very easily with the help of a content management system. ERP, we tell it is a total solution. Total solution means like regarding an organization. So like if you take an organization, we can separate the task inside the organization into several different categories. Now, if you think about a garment, it has an organization of purchasing. It has a department regarding the purchasers. It has a department regarding the like cutting or like preparing the raw materials. There is a department regarding the operations. There's a department regarding the human resources. There's a department regarding the distribution or logistics, right? Several different things are there. So if we apply a system separately to each and every of these departments, we have to manage that system as the separate systems, right? So later, if we need to interconnect that, we have to like go on a very hard way to interconnect those things. But ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, is something which has a total solution. So the same one particular system can be used to handle the purchasing, handle the sales, handle the distribution, handle the human resources. So everything like all in one kind of things, right? Now ERPs are like acquired by the like the mass scale companies, right? But recently in a way, I think like 5 to 6 years back, the world had this trend of creating the ERPs in small scales, where they can provide that ERPs into smaller businesses as well. Because business එක පොඩි වුණත් ලොකු වුණත් the functions are same. And if a big business can do the purchases as well as the small business is going to do the purchases. A big business is doing a sales as well as the small business is going to do the sales as well. So in that case, ERP matters in any case to manage a bigger organization or a smaller organization, right? So anyway, ERP gives you the solution so you can have it and manage your things. Like managing means like managing all the things regarding an organization. Expert system. Now we are going to talk about the expert system in the 13th lesson as well, but here I'll tell you what is an expert system. Now, expert system means a system which create to replace or to act as a human expert. Now, if you take a medical professional like a cardiologist, we can create an expert system to be treated or like to get like to treat the patient as a cardiologist, right? So when we are having the expert system, we won't be able to like interact with the what we call the human part, right? So human is there to feed, the human professional is there to feed the knowledge into the expert system, and the patient or the user is interacting with the system instead of the professional, right? So what the professional is doing, or like the one who knows about the subject, is feeding his knowledge into the expert system. An expert system has this engine called Inference Engine, which will take the knowledge of the human expert as well as the query from the user and analyze it and try to present what they want, right? So in an expert system, so if this is the expert system, there will be a user. So let's say this is the user, and this one is the human expert. Right, so inside this expert system, for the user, there will be a user interfaces. So this is the GUI, and through that, user will be given any request or the queries that they have. And there is this inference engine, and there is something called knowledge base. So human expert will feed the knowledge into the knowledge base, and user will give their query to the expert system. So inference engine, what inference engine is doing, taking the query into it, taking the knowledge into it, and it will process and give the solution. And then through the GUI, the solution travels. Right? So that is what happens inside the expert system. So expert system is there to replace the human expert. Right? But without the human expert, you can see the expert system is nothing, because the knowledge base is filled with the knowledge of a human expert. So human expert update වෙන ගානට knowledge base එකත් update වෙනවා. Not automatically. Human expert should feed. Right? So likewise, expert system can be used. So the final one, as I remember, is there's a smart enable. Smart system. Now, smart system means like it can censor the environment and it can adapt according to the environment and will make the decision to fulfill its goal. Right? So using the sensors, it will sense the environment, and using the actuators, it will do the task that they want, or like that the environment needed. It's like you are having an AC with a sensor of the temperature sensor, with a temperature sensor. So once the temperature is tracked or like is informed through the sensor, smart system will on the AC or like starting the fan to cool down the place. Right? So when it comes to the smart system, user will not be experience the computing කියන එක experience කරන්නේ නැහැ. Experience කරන්නේ his environment, which is being like so much easy for him or her. Right? Because smart system is take care of the things on behalf of him or her. Right? And finally, the embedded system. Now, embedded system means the best example is the modern cars that we can see. Right? So now each and every car is having a computerized system now. Right? So they have a computer, a small computer components, and gave the details regarding the vehicle and all these things. So vehicle is a big mechanical thing, and a small computerized component is embedded into it. Right? ඔබ්බලා තියෙන්නේ යාගෙන යම් ප්‍රමාණික දේවල් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. Right? So those kind of things are called the embedded system. So a big mechanical thing is there, and computerized system is inside it, doing one particular task or some particular tasks. Right? So people, අපි පැයක් විතර එක කතා කරා. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Right. Then mechanism ඉස්සරහට තියෙන්නේ system development lifecycle models. And I'm not going to talk about system development lifecycle models. Instead of that, I'm going to talk about this after I talk about the system development life cycle. ඒක කතා කරලා මේක ගැන කතා කරනකොට වැඩේ ගොඩක් පැහැදිලි. Right? So system development life cycle එකට එන්න කලින් models වලට එන්න කලින් SDLC models වලට එන්න කලින් let's get to know what is an SDLC, system development life cycle. Right? So when it comes to the system development life cycle, there are several methodologies where they use to do a system or like to develop a system. One is the structured method, which means like there is a specific framework and the steps are given. This is the way that you are going to create the system. And there are another methodology which is called the object oriented. So in object oriented methodology, they are not like making the system, they are just collecting the things or like having the objects which is able to perform a particular task or like particular uh, uh, thing, right? So structured methodology, okay, we have a specific structure how we are going to do that. But in object oriented methodology, they just recognize the object first, then using the object, they create what other things to be happen, right? So if you take a student information system, if it is being developed in the structured methodology, that particular system can have a login and there are places to store the student details, right? Then likewise, there will be some information. So like those are called structured development methodology. Like there's a specific structure. So we know what are the data to be input. When it comes to the object-oriented methodology, it's not like that. They just consider the objects first inside the environment, right, or inside the system. So like if we take student information system, teacher is an object, student is an object, clerical staff is an object, right? So those kind of things will be taken care of individually. Teacher के object එක teacher අදාළව maintain කරනවා, student के object එක student අදාළව maintain කරලා ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒක පාවිච්චි කරනවා when they are creating the system using object oriented methodology. And here onwards we are going to talk about the structured methodology. So regarding the structured methodology, they are introducing something called SSADM, right? So before we jump into the SSADM, I'll show you how this is arranged. So now in your tute, this particular diagram is there. So in the left-hand side, all 6 steps are called the SDLC, System Development Life Cycle. And regarding some of the steps are further divided into parts, which we call SSADM, Structured System Analysis. I really don't remember the and design methodologies, right? SSADM. So very easily, SDLC means there is a planning, there is analysis and designing and implementation, and then before maintenance we just deploy it and see, right? Those kind of things are there. So in SSADM, the feasibility analysis and designing, those 3 parts, those 3 steps are being further described in different manner, right? So this is what you call SDLC, and hereafter we are going to talk about this SDLC starting from the beginning and goes until the end. So ඔය ටියුට් එකේ ඔතනින් එහාට තියෙන හැම දෙයක්ම තියෙන්නේ අන්තිම පිටු දෙක ඇරෙන්න අන්තිම පිටු දෙක ඇර COT system කියලා කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. So all these things are there regarding the system development life cycle. Right. එතකොට මම දැනට මෙතනින් මේක hold කරනවා, right? I'm going to take the things by next class. Then ඊළඟ class එක එනකොට ඔයගලන්ට ටියුට් එක අරගන්න පුළුවන් class එකට ඇවිල්ලාම. So people, we are going to start the physical classes after New Year, right? Then 12th වල ඉඳලා පටන් ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා news එක ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. So we are going to start after the New Year. That means 20th, 13th week එක නිවාඩු, right? Next week, so no classes on next week. So 20th we are starting. So class time will be 4:30 to 6:30, right? So prepare, right? So we will be meeting on that particular time, right? So let's do the network, some of the network questions that we couldn't complete. So last week, I think we've complete the 2013 question, right? 13 ne අපි ඉවර කරේ. Can someone confirm, please? So let me see your group. I have given you 2011 to 12 and 213. Yes, we discuss all three. 213 එකත් අපි කතා කරලා ඉවර කරා නේ. Yeah. So today we are going to talk about 214. Right. So wait until I upload it to the WhatsApp group. Yeah, now before you start this, I'll tell you, now this particular question does not contain in a network diagram. ඒක ටිකක් වෙනස් විදියට අහලා තියෙන්නේ. So just see whether you can achieve it or not. Right, final part you can when you're answering that question, just remember it's something like some question that you have reserved to the science, right? වේගයයි දුරයි කාලයයි ගැන තමයි උතන ප්‍රශ්නය අහලා තියෙන්නේ, right? So here it says the term called round trip time, or like yes, round trip time. Round trip time කියන එක කියන්නේ කලින් සිලබස් එකේ ඔක තිබ්බ ඔයගලන්ට කතා කරන්න. So round trip time means the time that it takes to travel from one point to another point and to come back to the same point, right? So the time that takes to the entire journey, right? So keep that in mind and try the question, right? So it is a half an hour question, but I'm going to start it by, yeah, let's say 8. Now it is 7:41. I'm going to start it by 8.
සර් මේකේ D part එක විතරයි නේද කරන්න ඕනේ?
නෑ නෑ මුල ටිකක් කරන්න ඕන ABC
හරි සර්.
right Yes, Jinani, yeah, your first part is correct, the OSI reference model. The second part, yes, okay. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, sufficient. Good, Jinani, keep it up. Yes, Jinani, that's correct. Yeah, that one also. Okay, give it a try to the B part, Jinani. Right, people, it's 8 o'clock. Do you need more time? Is there anyone who needs the time? Because you got another 10 minutes to complete the half an hour. Okay, so I'm going to show you the marking scheme regarding 2014. Yeah, so this is the question. So second part A, the OSI layer model that they are asking. So application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, physical. So if this is there, you can have 3 marks. Right? It's a simple one. Right? Matakanang ned. Angar podi වාක්‍යයකුත් ඔගලන් දුන්නේ all people seems to need data processing. Please do not throw sausage pizza away. So likewise, right? So you can manage the things according to this particular thing. So the B part, yeah, as it says, this is an example for potential attack, phishing. The sender of the email can be easily faked and therefore should not be trusted, right? Or else some idea, right? If it says the attacker can collect the username and password for email users who comply with this request, the account can be used, the attacker to launch further attacks, right? ඔය ලියලා තියෙන දේවල් ටිකට අදාළ, right? And hold on, yeah, so the portion is big. They have given 5 marks for that. Yeah, Gina, all right, okay, Gina, I'll see. Yeah, Jinani, yeah, Lalindi, hacking කියන එක ඔතනදී එන්නේ දුව, ඒ කියන්නේ like phishing attack එකේදී they can collect the details, then can go for the hacking. Directly hacking කියන එක කියන්න බෑ දුව. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔතනදී specifically අපි කතා කරන්න ඕනේ phishing attack එක ගැන. Right? Not the hacking. Right? Right. තප්පරයක් වෙන්න ළමයි. Right. So 5 marks. The main points දෙක ගැනම කියලා තියෙනවා නම් තමයි ලකුණු 5 තියෙන්නේ. ඒ දෙකෙන් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් 2 marks කියලා කතා කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Right. ඊළඟට මේ attack එකකින් ඇවිල්ලා further attacks වලට යන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක දැන් ජිනානි දුව මට එවපු ආන්සර් එකේ අර further attack කියන කතාව පොඩ්ඩක් සඳහන් වෙලා නැහැ නේද? එතකොට ඒ දේවල් වලට අදාළව ලකුණු අඩු වෙයි. right? පොඩ්ඩක් ඒව ගැන ඒ කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි ලියනකොට ඔය මාකින් ස්කීම් වලින්ම තමයි අපි ලියන විදිහ අපිට අඳුන ගන්න වෙන්නේ. මොන විදිහටද මේක කරන්න කියන්නේ කියන එක. right? Right. Then after the third part, they ask in the bus star and the ring topology. So it's better you name the things, right? Can you make a devices name like we made the backbone Wada Hyundai, right? If you can go for those things. Right. So these type of drawing should be there. May e talama tiyenna අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. Lines වලින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඇඳලා පෙන්නලා තියෙනවා නම් so you will be given the idea, detail and මේ star එකේ මන්දිනකොට central device එක හරියට mark කරගන්න. Right?
සර්
නිර්මාණ කියන්න.
සර් තුන්වෙනි එකේ සර් මේ ටයිම් එක දීලා නැහැ නේද? මේ ටයිම් එකද හොයන්න තියෙන්නේ?
මේ තුන්වෙනි එක කිව්වේ D part එකද?
D part එක සර්.
ඔව් D part එකේ තියෙන්නේ පුතේ like අපිට ඒක හරිද වැරදිද කියන එක prove කරන්න ඕනේ.
සර් ඒකේ මේ ටයිම් එකක් එහෙම දීලා නැහැ නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ
8 millisecond කියන කතාවක් දීලා තියෙනව නේද?
ඔව් සර්.
අන්න ඒකත් එක්ක තමයි අපි වැඩ කරන්න ඕනේ. හරි ඉන්නකො මම කතා කරන්නේ. දැන් D part එකේ Lalindi, it's better you say central device දුව. hub switch කියලා limit කරන්න යන්න එපා. right? hub කියලා limit කරන්න යන්න එපා. It's better you say central device. right? Right. So now in the D part, they are talking about some particular device, neither. Let me take, yeah. So they says MRTT was used to measure the round trip time for data packets on the internet between two machines. One machine is at the location X and the other machine is at Y. The MRTT reported a round trip time between X and Y as 8 ms. 8 ms means 8 milliseconds, right? The straight line distance between point X and Y is 3000 kilometers and the maximum speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second, right? So it says, based on the above information, can this tool MRTT be relied upon? Justify your answer. Right. And yep. Jinani, yeah, your calculation is okay, but how about the suggestion? The suggestion right? So you have to justify whether the MRTT is correct or the reading of the MRTT is reliable or not. So how we are going to find whether this is reliable or not? So it's simple, right? Because අපි ඒගොල්ලෝ කියලා තියෙනවා making reading එකක් දීලා තියෙනවා කියලා. So light speed එක ඔතන දීලා තියෙන්නේ ඇයි? Because it is the maximum speed that a data can take. Right? So maximum speed එකෙන් එයා round trip time එකක් යන්න. So X and Y is having it says 3000 kilometers. Right? The maximum speed එකෙන් 3000 kilometers ගිහිල්ලා එන්න. X ඉඳලා Y ට 3000 තියනවා කියලා කියන්නේ like round trip time means the distance will be 6000 kilometers. Right? So 6000 kilometers ගිහිල්ලා එන්න 8 milliseconds ගියා කියලා තමයි the MRTT is displaying. Right? So this has 3000 kilometers. So ගිහිල්ලා එන්න කියලා කියන්නේ altogether the journey is going to be 6000 kilometers. Yes, right. So what are the details? So the distance traveled equals 3000 kilometers into 2. That means 6000 kilometers. Right? So the maximum speed that can travel, that data can travel, is what? 300,000 kilometers per second. Right? So with these things, we can find the minimal time that can record. Therefore, minimum time that can record to traveling equals what? So now නේද අපිට අපි දන්න සමීකරණය මොකද්ද? වේගය සමානයි දුර බෙදීම කාලය. Speed equals distance divided by time. So if we take the minimal time as t, right, we can say speed equals distance divided by time. So this gives you 300 kilometers per second equals, the distance is 6000 kilometers and time will be t, right? So t will be equals 6000 divided by 300,000. This is kilometers. This is kilometers per second, right? So these three cancels for these three, and there are 1 for 6, and you got 50 over here. 30 it is 5, so it is 50. So it will be like 1 over 50 per second තියෙන්නේ යටනේ. So එයා උඩට එනකොට seconds වෙනවා. Right? So seconds වලින් ගත්තොත් it will be 1 over 50. Right? So මෙයාව milliseconds වලින් ගත්තොත් this will be like what? 1 over 50 into 1000, then it gives us milliseconds. So that means it's 20. So it will be 20 milliseconds. Right? ඔය calculation එක තේරුණාද? Right, okay. එක එක විදියට හදන්න පුළුවන්. මම මේ time එක අරගෙන හදලා තියෙන්නේ. Yeah, Jinani, so learn the lesson. Right? Never mind. It's the first time. Right? So it's 20 milliseconds. So මොකක්ද අපි මේ හෙව්වේ? This is the minimum time that can record. So light speed එකෙන් x වල ඉඳලා y වලට ගිහිල්ලා y වල ඉඳලා x වලට එන්න, it take at least 20 milliseconds, not less than that, either 20 milliseconds or more than that. But the question says what? The question says the MRTT has recorded 8 milliseconds. එතකොට ඒක possible වෙන්න පුළුවන්ද? That cannot be possible. because this is the minimal time. So it should be either larger than this or should be 20 milliseconds. So we can say, therefore, therefore MRTT has recorded 8 milliseconds to travel between X and Y. Therefore, reading of MRTT is not reliable since the minimum time should be 20 milliseconds. Right? You should write it on this manner. Right? ඔයගලන්ට එතන මේක එක එක විදිහට approach කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් මම මෙතනදී අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ distance එකයි speed එකයි අරගෙන minimal time එක හොයලා. ඔයගලන්ට තව විදියකින් පුළුවන් distance එක time එකෙන් බෙදලා distance එක time එකෙන් බෙදලා country minutes distance එක time එකෙන් බෙදලා ඒ කියන්නේ 6000 record වෙච්ච time එක 8 milliseconds වලින් බෙදලා you can show the data according to the MRTT data has traveled on this particular speed මේ speed එකෙන් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා කියන්නේ. So එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට එන්නේ light speed එකට වඩා වැඩි speed එකක්. So you can say again MRTT is not reliable because due to the given time the speed should be this much, but the maximum speed that can be 300,000. ඒක නිසා එයා not reliable here. Right? ආයසරයක් අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් light speed එකෙන් මෙයා travel කරන maximum speed එක so 8 milliseconds වලින් යන්න පුළුවන් දුර මනලා බලනවා. ඒතර ඒ තමයි light speed එකෙන් light speed එක time එකෙන් වැඩි කරාම යන්න පුළුවන් දුර එනවා. ඒ කාලයට අදාළව යන්න පුළුවන් දුර. ඒ කියන්නේ maximum speed එකකින් ගියා නම් යන්න පුළුවන් දුර. ඒතර ඒ දුර 6000ට අඩුවෙන් එන්න පුළුවන්. එතනදි කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ කියන කාලය ඇතුළත මේ කියන වේගෙන් ගියාම යන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ මෙන්න මෙච්චර distance එකයි. But X and Y is having 6000 kilometers, so which is not possible to travel with this particular speed. So it is wrong. Or like not reliable. ඔය කියන පැති තුනෙන්ම ඕගලන්ට කතා කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Confirm කරන්න මේ කතා කරපු දේ clear ද කියලා. දැන් මේ network lesson එකේ ගානට network අයිති වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ගානට අයිති වෙන්නේ it's just speed equals distance divided by time කියන. Right? Yeah, people, is it clear? Right. Okay. Yeah, how about others? Right. Okay. හරි. වැරදි තියෙන අය ඉන්නවා නම් හදාගන්න. I'll give you the 2015 question. Right, so in 2015, in 2015 they have talked about something called ping, P-I-N-G command. So which is in the old syllabus but not in your syllabus. Ping කියන command එක අපි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ network එකක connectivity devices දෙකක් අතර connectivity තියනවද කියලා බලා ගන්න. Right? So අපි command prompt එක open කරලා ping කියලා type කරලා IP address එකක් දුන්නොත් ඒ IP address එක IT machine එකට එයා පොඩි data එකක් යවලා ගෙන්නගෙන බලනවා ඒ යවපු data එක ආයෙ return වෙනවද කියලා. Right? So if the sent data is returned correctly, so it says the connection is okay. හැබැයි return කරපු එක යවපු data එක return වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් එයා කියනවා connection එක අවුල් කියන එක. කියන්නේ ඒ දෙන්න අතර communicate කරගන්න බෑ කියන එක. So for this you can use an IP address or a URL. මොකද URL එකත් DNS එකෙන් IP address එකක් විදිහට convert කරලා දෙනවා ඔයගලන්ට. So ආයෙත් indirectly IP address එකක්ම තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝ එතනට දෙන්නේ. Right? මෙතන මේ question එකට IP address එක කියන්නේ ping command එක ගැටලුවක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ questions දෙක අහලා තියෙන්නේ මේ ping command කියන්නේ IP address එක type කරලා ping command එක දුන්නාම communicate වුණා. round trip time එකක් පෙන්නුවා 20 milliseconds කියලා එතනට ගිහින් මෙතනට එන්න. මේ මොනවාද domain name එක දුන්නාම නැත්නම් URL එක දුන්නාම ඒක error එකක් දුන්නා කියලා තමයි කියන්නේ. Right? මේ දෙන්න අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය ඇඳලා පෙන්නන්න පොඩි network diagram එකක් අඳින්න කියලා කියනවා. ඊට පස්සේ possible causes අහනවා. Right? ඔය A part එක ටක් ගාලා try කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා B part එක ගෙදරදී try කරලා බලන්න අපිට තව පොඩි වෙලාවක් තියෙන නිසා. Right? මම කලින් දාන පේන්න තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ට කතා කරගන්න උමනා වෙන්න. ළමයි මට විනාඩියක් දෙන්න. හරි. ළමයි sorry පොඩ්ඩ ඇවිල්ලා මම හිතන්නේ ස්ක්‍රීන් එකේ එහෙම කරා. right. ඇඳ ගන්න පුළුවන් වුණාද? ඕකට බොහොම parallel network diagrams අපි කරලා තියෙනවා. හරි. ළමයි තව වෙලාව ඕනේද? වෙලාව ඕන නම් ඉන්ඩිකේට් කරන්න. සහ මම ආයි පොඩ්ඩක් මතක් කරන්නම් ලබන සතිය නිවාඩුයි. right අවුරුදු වලට පොඩි නිවාඩුවක් ගන්නවා. ඊළඟ සතියේ ඉඳලා physical classes පටන් ගන්නවා 4:30 to 6:30 right නිරෝධායන නීතිත් සමග තමයි පටන් ගන්න ළමයි. ඒක නිසා මාස්ක් එක ගේන්න හැමෝම මාස්ක් එක දාගෙන ඉන්න මේ ක්ලාස් එක ඇතුලේ right අමාරුවෙන් හරි. ඒ වෙනකොට නිරෝධායන නීති රීති වෙනස් වෙලා තිබ්බොත් හොඳයි කියලා හිතනවා. නමුත් දැනට තියෙන්නේ එහෙම right ක්ලාස් එක මම arrange කරලා තියෙවි මේ විදිහට. so next week එකේ නිවාඩු ඊට පස්සේ week එකේ physical classes තියෙන්නේ කියන එක මතක තියාගන්න. මිනිදී මම හිතන්නේ යාළුව දෙන්න නෑ නේද අද? සනාදිටයි අනිත් යාළුවටයි පණිවිඩය දෙන්න පුතේ. අනිත් අය හැමෝම වගේ ඉන්නවා.
සර් වෙලාව කීයටද තියෙන්නේ 4ටද?
4:30 with it. 4:30 to 6, right?
So 6:30 නේද?
6:30. Oh, 4:30 to 6:30. Right. හරි. ඕක ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගෙදරදී try කරන්න. right? අපි දැන් වෙලාව පහු වෙලා තියෙන නිසා ඊළඟ දවසේ මේ question එකත් discuss කරලා ඉතිරි දේවල් ටික යමු. එතකොට ඊළඟ දවසේ අපි හම්බ වෙනවා. එතකොට මට ඇඳලා කරලාම පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන්. right? ඒක මතක තියාගන්න. ටියුට් එක එතකොට කලෙක්ට් කරගන්න කලබල වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. එදාට ආවම කලෙක්ට් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. no problem. right? ඒ විදිහට කරගමු. එතකොට පණිවිඩය දෙන්න. right? සිස්ටම් ලෙසන් එක පටන් ගත්ත කියන එක. එතකොට අපි ආයි හම්බෙන්නේ next week එකේ නෙමෙයි ඊළඟ week එකේ. 13 නෙවෙයි 20 වෙනිදා. right? එහෙනම් හැමෝටම happy new year කියලා මම wish කරනවා. right? So we are meeting on 20th, right? Not on 13th. Right? So from 4:30 to 6:30, right? Okay, right. So I'm going to end the session from here, people. Right? Thank you very much. So have a very good night, and I'll meet you week after, right? Okay. Thank you very much, people. Good night. Right. Okay. Good night.